Jura at fullback, Longbottom, Maven, Neville and O'Neill to three-quarters. Coleman at 5'8", they're moving from half to 5'8". Phil Blake as the halfback. The forwards, Andrews at lock, Paul Robertson, Wayne Chisholm at the second rowers, and then Darren Maroon and Les Davidson at prop, with Steve Fennick, Mario's younger brother, coming into the side for his initial first-grade game as hooker. George Piggins as the coach. Here's the Western Suburbs Magpies. Laurie Fryer coming out with the team there. He's the Western Suburbs coach. You'll also notice referee Greg McCallum coming out as well. The lineup for Western Suburbs: Rawlings at fullback, Mackay, Stafford, Liddon and Peacock the three-quarters. Mark Bevan comes back into the side at 5'8". Trevor Cogger is the halfback. And the forward pack, Cameron Blair at lock forward, Chris Blair and Ian Howcroft are the second rowers. Scott Tronk, Alan Fowler and David Woods are the front row, with Alan Fowler the captain and Laurie Fryer the coach. And there's Les Davidson, the man who has quite a deal of pressure on him. Dropped from the New South Wales side earlier in the week, and that's Paul Roberts there alongside Les Davidson. And in the background, young Stephen Fennick, Mario's younger brother, making his first-grade Winfield Cup debut. Greg McCallum blows the whistle and the game is underway. Western Suburbs defending that southern end of the ground, and Peacock's made a meal of that line dropout. Oh, what a horrible mistake to start the match.
Yes, it's a terrible mistake. You should be able to collect the ball from the kick-off and run it back to at least the 22. Instead, Wests are faced with a goal line dropout, and they simply should have covered it up. Peacock made a meal of it.
Well, South Sydney have a small army of supporters here this afternoon, really roaring some encouragement. And they need to find some form to get back into the top 5 on the Winfield Cup table. But they've got the job in front of them this afternoon. Souths with the ball just outside the quarter line. Now taken up, that's Maroon. With Chisholm coming through. Fennick. Blake to Coleman. The cut-out pass, it's almost intercepted, but it's allowed a bit of room here for O'Neill. O'Neill for the corner. O'Neill back on the inside. Peacock almost got that intercept, but he did allow some room for O'Neill to make that ground. 11 metres out, South with it. So it comes away, De Jura. De Jura going hard. De Jura only 5 metres out. Last tackle against the Rabbitohs. Fennick at dummy half. Blake again from Coleman, that long cut-out pass. This will be a try. First points of the afternoon. Longbottom scores. Souths lead by 4 points to 0. Good pass from Coleman.
Superb football by South to take advantage of the West's weakness, which was all caused by the mistake from the kick-off. That gave South possession. Here's Coleman with a magnificent pass to Longbottom, who was unmarked. Really, they had the numbers. They simply had to get it there. The pass goes firstly to Blake, who is in the regulation halfback spot. He sends it on to Coleman. Coleman sizes up the situation, sees that they've all come in on the defence, and gives Longbottom the open run to the line.
How many of them are waiting for the kick here on the last tackle, and Coleman seeing this? Look at this for a good pass.
Well, they started off, they had the numbers from the outset. They simply attacked in the middle, and West came in, and then the winger came in as well on the centres, thinking that was where they were going to hit them.
Bruce Longbottom, who scored a try last week against Parramatta, scores his 6th try of the season in the opening moments against Western Suburbs.
Longbottom is proving to be a very useful finisher since moving to the wing from the centre.
Western Suburbs got a shattering blow in the opening moments. Bronco De Jura taking over the goal-kicking duties, and look at this! What a great kick to start the afternoon from De Jura. They lost their goal kicker Ellison this morning. De Jura comes in and slots it over from the sideline. What a dream start for South. Not even 2.5 minutes gone. South lead 6-0.
Well, Wests only have themselves to blame for being down on the scoreboard. It was a horror start from the kick-off, and they suddenly find the try being posted. And it was good football by South. They made no mistakes. They took it up the middle. There was some good work by Davidson in the middle, first of all, and they simply pulled them in and moved it wide.
South Sydney with the ball just outside that quarter line, and here's Davidson taking it up. That might have been the confident start that South Sydney needed to get this big forward pack rolling. Sideline eye, Peter Wilkins. What are those conditions like down there on the field?
Well, deteriorating rapidly, David. A big black cloud is looming over the ground, and I think we're going to get wet. I'm a little bit underprepared today, so I think I'm going to get wet as well.
That's got to be a penalty. Has to be a penalty. He was a mile offside. That was Chisholm, who was the second rower, mind you, and for some unknown reason he was almost attached himself. I don't know where the lock forward disappeared to, but that had to be a penalty.
The differential kick will be taken by West. Here's the scrum feed. Cogger puts it in clean heel to West. And, well, he certainly swung out of the scrum and put his foot in the road. Chisholm.
So Western Suburbs with a chance to hit back. They're only 12 metres out. Falla's the dummy half. That's Cogger. Taking ahead now, Howcroft. 18 metres out from that South Sydney line. Chris Blair takes it up. 13 metres out. Souths lead 6 points to 0. Falla. Now taking it, that's Cameron Blair. He's lost the ball, it's gone loose. Cogger chasing after it, picks up the dregs. And the scrum will go down for the knock-on. Good defence from South Sydney.
We'll see good work here by Trevor Cogger to chase hard after the ball was lost. He made every effort to regain it and at least give West half a chance from the scrum. And you can set your defence from the scrum rather than simply handing over possession. They've got another penalty from the scrum.
Well, there it is. That is the difference between chasing hard and not chasing hard. They've got a differential scrum penalty out of it, so they still get another 6 tackles.
And they're going to take the tap from centre field.
And why not from that position? They're only about 5 metres out here, Western Suburbs. Falla. The beautiful pass, Cameron Blair, he's in. Try. No penalty.
Shepherd's been called, I think, by the referee McCullum. No, it was called it against a tackled player.
Well, this will be interesting. It almost looked like a Shepherd the first time. Let's have a look. There's no risk that if he hasn't pulled them up for a Shepherd, he could have anyway. That's what it looked like anyway, Warren.
They made a signal which indicated that someone had obstructed a tackler, but it certainly looked like a Shepherd.
Well, I suppose it was obstruction, wasn't it? He ran inside and prevented the tackler from getting to Cameron Blair. South, so let off there. They take the ball back to the halfway line.
Would have been a vital hit back for West to score immediately and even up the scoreboard. It was alongside the posts.
Here's Maroon taking it inside Western Suburbs territory. And Les Davidson hobbling back into position. Gee, if they lose him, that's 5 of their main forwards gone.
And it's bad luck because Davidson has started this game on fire. He's made a couple of strong runs in the middle already.
I wonder if that's a cork he's got, or that's a good pass from Blake to Maven. Maven down to the quarter line. Good football. De Jura, can he handle it? Yes. Good cover defence, though. It was Bevan who effected the tackle. Last tackle this time at Chisholm. He's got that pass away. Maroon, the ball's gone loose. Coleman's got it. Back to Blake. There's plenty of room out wide if they can get it there. O'Neill for the corner. O'Neill's in. Try. South Sydney are in front. 10 points to 0.
The sheer speed of Adam O'Neill got this try. Admittedly, South did well to get the ball out there, but it was man on man. He got on the outside of Graham Mackay, and it was sheer speed. But watch Coleman involved here too. After Chisholm drops the ball back here, you'll see Coleman come around, backing around to finally move the ball to the far side. He looks one way. Here's the call from Blake, and a beautiful pass by Blake out to O'Neill. But look, it was man on man here. In fact, it was Stafford who couldn't quite go the pace with O'Neill. From behind, we see Coleman always scheming. Gets the ball wide with the pass. Chisholm there. Plenty of support too from supports Maroon there. Trying, gets the pass away loose though. At one stage it broke down, but Blake and Coleman swooping onto the ball, and the radar-like head of Blake, knowing where the action was, gets it out to O'Neill. Just that acceleration of O'Neill's is unbelievable. Gets it down safely too. Didn't hit the corner post. But the secret is to keep it going. They had this defence at 6s and 7s, and the little men, Blake and Coleman, the combination of the half and 5/8, get the ball to where the gap was. And over in the corner, and South's right on top now.
Adam O'Neill, his 7th try for the year. He only started playing rugby league 5 years ago, and what a sensational time he's having at South. De Jura trying to make it 12-0. That kick well wide of the posts. And so the score 10 points to 0 in favour of Souths. The Western Suburbs have now conceded 46 tries so far in this year's competition. Souths have only conceded 29, and West really need to hit back shortly. They're just on 7 minutes gone. And here's O'Neill again. Many of our viewers not in New South Wales and Queensland mightn't necessarily know that Adam O'Neill is the son of former Test cricketer Norman O'Neill. And the reason why he only started playing rugby league 5 years ago was when Norm moved from Western Australia back to New South Wales.
We've seen South twice get the ball quickly to the wings. Once they've got the defence rattled, they know exactly where the overlap is going to be, and they're getting the ball out there well.
So here's Rawlings, his first touch of the football, and they're down 10-0. West have hardly had, the West backs haven't seen it at all yet.
The problem for West this season has been that though they've scored only 4 tries less than South, they've conceded a lot more. They've also conceded a lot of goals in comparison to South.
Here's Peacock. Peacock up over the halfway. Peacock at De Jura. Peacock's good tackle from De Jura. He almost got around him. Gee, that was a good run from Peacock, trying to make up for his earlier errors. Bevan. Good ball, that one away too. That's Woods. Only 18 metres out. Fowler. Now tell you, that's Cameron Blair. Hasn't been anywhere near as effective in the opening moments here as he was against St George. Last tackle against Western Suburbs. Cogger, the grubber kick. It comes off one West player. It's been lost there by Davidson. And going back, I think Souths have still got possession. No, coming up is Alan Fowler with it. 6 to go, says the referee. It's Bevan. Bevan inside, still looking for that little gap. So Western Suburbs right on the attack, 5 metres out. Fowler, take it up. Now that's Chris Blair, he's almost there. Andrews and Davidson affecting the tackle. He plays it ahead, I think he's lost it in the in-goal area, penalty. Incorrect playing of the ball, the referee will rule, picking the ball up in the ruck, as you can see by the signal. So twice Western Suburbs have got the ball over the line, twice they've been penalised.
Well, Chris Blair ran strongly to get to this position, but then he plays the ball forward. There were markers in front of him, and the referees ruled that he did pick the ball up in the ruck. Touch and go, really. The ball was over the line. The referee ruled that he picked it up in the ruck.
Light rain, I believe, starting to sprinkle out there. Peter Wilkins on the sideline, looks as if he's ready to go to the snow by the looks of things.
Well, just head out to the van and get the skis, David. Yes, it is sprinkling. The cloud has exploded, and I think the ball's becoming a little bit slippery, but so far no noticeable difference in the way the players are tossing it about.
Now here's South Sydney back to the halfway line. Of course, if the rain really does come and the field gets wet, that 10-0 lead will be precious. Precious under any circumstances, but even more so in wet conditions.
There's a little run there from Steve Fennick. By the end of this game, George Piggins, the South Sydney coach, might be quite happy that he's got a specialist hooker and dummy half in the position. Originally, he selected Wayne Chisholm as hooker. With the late withdrawal of Ellison, in comes Fennick, and he may be pretty happy about that by the end of the game, because so far Fennick seems to be handling first grade pretty well. This time last year, he was playing C grade in the Botany district of South Sydney.
He started the season in President's Cup, but because of all the injuries, South Sydney have two of their hookers, Craig Weeks and also Mario Fennick on the injured list. And of course last week they lost Paul Judd with the suspension, so they've got 3 hookers out at the moment, South, and that's the reason why young Stephen Fennick's in at first grade today. That looks to be a knock 1-2 by West. Got away with it as Cogger will play it.
Got 6 more tackles.
Earlier on this afternoon, South took the President's Cup 17-10 as West come up with a penalty, but what a great performance by Western Suburbs in reserve grade. 32 points to 12, and the telltale point of the match was a magnificent pass from former international Ian Schubert, which sent the Magpies away to that very good win in reserve grade. Now here, making some ground again here, the Magpies. That's the centre three-quarter Jason Stafford, who scored that very good try against St George a couple of weeks ago. Rawlings, good ball away. Cameron Blair slips it away. Now that's Howcroft. Forward pass though.
Again, we see West taking the quick tap rather than looking for touch and making ground. South not setting their defence quickly after the penalty was awarded against them.
Those little errors creeping into West's game at the moment, which is not allowing them to put any pressure on South for any concentrated period of time, and now a penalty again going to South Sydney. Scrum not packing, facing the goal line, or 90-degree angle to the touch line. We haven't even seen a successful scrum yet, so Steve Fennick must think it's Christmas coming up the first grade. Every scrum that's been put down so far, Greg McCallum's been able to find a scrum penalty. Darren Marone making good ground for the Rabbitohs. That passes away. Here's a chance for South Sydney again. Blindside, it comes away. Blake, Coleman. That's De Jura, he's knocked it on. Chris Blair's come up in possession for Western Suburbs. Pass mightn't have been on. De Jura just slightly overrunning that ball.
They pushed it a little too much, but Souths are certainly keeping the ball alive, and they're going to create a lot of headaches for this West defence.
Here's Mackay. Down on the quarter line. Fowler. There's Scott Tronk. Dropped from the Queensland lineup earlier in the week. Didn't really say it was dropped. Relieved of his engagement, so to speak.
Both Scott Tronk and also Les Davidson have a point to prove to selectors today. So Tronk didn't seem to be overly disappointed by being left out of the side.
There wasn't much they could do about it. South Sydney with the ball just outside the quarter line. That's Longbottom. Scored the first try of the afternoon. Both of South's tries coming from their wingers. They lead by 10 points to 0, South Sydney. 15 minutes gone in the first half. Good run from Davidson. And he's lost the ball. West have got it. Here it is again. Dragging defenders with him. But that wasn't really, I don't think, trying to slip the pass away. He just seemed to lose as he was trying to get a better purchase on it. He lost control of it. Woods with it. Alan Fowler. Here's Tronk. Ball's gone loose. Referee says play on. De Jura to get up and play it. Blake. This is Neville. Haven't seen much of Neville so far in the match. A neat stepper. On the quarter line. And Neil decides to go for a bit of a run on his own, take a bit of pressure off the forwards, and he almost found a hole down the centre of that ruck.
Souths are very much bunched at the moment.
Here's Chisholm. 11 metres inside South Sydney's territory. Fennick, blindsided, comes away. Maroon. Western Suburbs defence holds. Last tackle against South Sydney. Just inside South's territory. South's lead 10-0. 24 minutes left in the first half. The kick. Rawlings is back there on his quarter line. He's got it back about 34 metres out from his own line. Bevan, Cogger. This is Mackay. Tackle from Coleman there, right round the legs. Scott Tronk. Back on the inside, Cogger. Cogger's gapped them. Cogger's got support. That's Howcroft. Howcroft looking back on the inside. The ball's gone loose and coming up in possession with South Sydney, but it's going to be a penalty for the South Sydney player. It was Darryl Neville. He's been ruled to be in front of the previous South Sydney player who played at the ball.
Well, Cogger got the pass away, and it was a good strong run here by Howcroft, but when he throws the pass back inside looking for Cogger once more, it's touched by a South Sydney hand there, and Neville is in an offside position as he pulls it in. Really didn't have much choice. He had to take the pass.
Well, it could have touched Cogger, and if it had have touched Cogger's fingers, of course, he would have been onside. And he...
Well, for one thing, he didn't know whether or not whose hand it had touched, and secondly, he can't afford to let the ball bounce around in that position.
Good run again from Howcroft. What good combination that saw Cogger initially make the break.
Inside Scott Tronk slipping the pass.
So here's Bevan. He's there for his goal kicking. And here's his first kick of the afternoon, and he's missed it. Well, they've really got some goal kicking horrors, Western Suburbs, haven't they?
Well, that's why Mark Bevan's in the team as a goal kicker. They've moved Jason Liddon out into the centres. He played pretty well at 5'8" against St George. They really do have problems with goal kicking. In fact, you saw Rawlings take over the kicking against St George late in the game, and he looked reasonable, so Bevan will want to put a few over because that's his job.
Now here's Rawlings. He's gone straight through Rawlings. Rawlings coming down to the quarter line. Good run from Rawlings. They're starting to find a couple of holes here, Western Suburbs. Cogger, he swings it wide. Bevan comes away. That's Cameron Blair. Just outside the quarter line. Bevan again, looking for a runner. He finds one. That's Woods. 19 metres out from the South Sydney line. Fowler, open-sided, comes away. That was a good pass from Tronk away to Cogger again. Couldn't get his pass away. He might have just held it back in the end. Bevan, well picked up that ball out wide. That was Liddon. Wasn't an easy pass to gather in, but he did well. 9 metres out. Last tackle against Western Suburbs. The kick there. It came off Bevan, and it's a try. Try to Chris Blair. Looks to be Chris Blair who scored the try, and Wests are back in business.
Well, West in the last couple of minutes have started to control the ball. They were dropping it earlier in the half, but now they're holding and they're enabling pressure to be applied, and they're starting to look a lot better. The kick goes across. They're always a lottery. It couldn't be pulled in, and they fall on it for the try.
So here it is again. Bevan, the little grubber kick. You'll see here, South Sydney trying to gather in. It was Andrews, and then Chris Blair it is who dives on the ball to score the try.
All the teams are starting to employ these tactics now. Bevan getting the kick away, and then anything can happen. The ball bounces loose. South didn't have a lot of cover in that position. West come up with it.
His first try of the year, and we saw him in a fairly impressive display against St George a fortnight ago at Arana Park, and he comes up with a good try, and he's also been heavily involved in the defensive work early on in his match. In fact, he's got through 7 tackles already. So at the halfway point of the first stanza, South leading 10-4, and Bevan won't get an easier kick than this to find his kicking form, and he's got it. So Western Suburbs are back in business. South had that margin reduced to just 4 points. 20 minutes to go in the first half. It's South's 10, Western Suburbs 6.
There's not much you can do when the little kick is put through, because the defence is committed. It has to match up. You can see the rain coming down quite heavily at the moment. There's not much the defence can do. You have to spread in case the ball goes left or right, wide. And so they're a little thin in the middle. Not enough cover, as I said, coming across. But at the same time, West had the chaser there, and that's the secret. You've got to have a chaser coming through on that kick, and it can bounce anywhere.
Yes, you couldn't blame Michael Andrews, could you? I mean, he made a valiant attempt to get to that ball.
As I said, West had good lead up to that try. It wasn't a fluke that they managed to be in that position. They're starting to look a lot better in the last 5 or 10 minutes, holding the ball. And people like Dave Woods taking the ball up there, and Scott Tronk are getting heavily involved in the middle. They've got Trevor Cogger backing them up.
Are you giving instructions to West? What a good kick that was from Cogger.
I'm just telling you what's going on.
11 metres out from the South Sydney quarter line. Well, he's almost called the shots there in that group of 6 tackles, Warren Boland, and that was a good kick again from Cogger. A real unsung Western Suburbs hero over the years. Hasn't tasted too many victories, but my word, he's been a great battler for them. And that was the first scrum that was actually won in the match. South Sydney with the ball, back to the halfway line. Neville to play it. Stephen Fennick just inside West territory. That's Andrews, a dummy half. Former Nambucca Heads boy. Good pass, that one from Coleman. It went away to Davidson. He's knocked it on. Then Tronk's knocked it on. The scrum will go down for the knock on both ways.
We'll see a good tackle by Chris Blair on Davidson here, knocking the ball loose. Davidson didn't really have time to get hold of it, but then Tronk failed to take advantage by falling on it.
So we're going to see Western Suburbs come up with their first scrum win of the afternoon. They've got it. Here's Peacock. He's offloaded that pass well to Peacock. Good football, Western Suburbs. Only 30 metres out. Rawlings plays it. Away it comes, Cameron Blair.
West bringing Peacock in from the far wing around the scrum base.
Falla. Scott Tronk, the short ball away to Chris Blair, the try scorer, just outside the quarter line. Falla. Cogger. Now here's Liddon. At 5'8" a few weeks ago. It was Roberts and Davidson affecting the tackle. Blindside, Falla. Away it comes, Howcroft. Good defence again, that time from Roberts low and Chisholm over the top. Last tackle against West. As the bomb comes up from Bevan, it's coming down in the in-goal area. Getting underneath it there was De Jura. Western Suburbs seemed to knock that ball one way, and South Sydney have come up in possession, and that could have gone anywhere. In the end, Maven got it. But my word, how close that could have been to another Western Suburbs try.
The Magpies had the chance once the ball came loose. It was a pretty useful bomb coming down right in front of the post. Plenty of players coming through. We'll see the replay now. It comes down, and there were chasers coming through to put pressure on De Jura. He spills it forward, and there Woods, if only he could have held onto it, could have turned around and put it down for a 4-pointer.
The big thing about it, if Woods hadn't touched it, it probably would have been a knock-on. South Sydney with the ball. Only 4 points the difference. Rawlings has touched that. It's gone back. They're all on, all the South players have got down there. Now Mackay, the only other Western Suburbs player back there. And oh, what a good hit that was over the top from Maroon. And Mackay, understandably, got up a little bit slowly. Very gingerly to his feet. This will be a penalty against South Sydney inside the 5 metres.
We've almost seen 10 minutes each way so far in this game. Initially, West were making mistakes. Souths were looking good in attack. Now it's West in possession through South Sydney mistakes.
Bevan to kick for touch. There's the penalties. West 5, South 3. These two clubs, two of the inaugural clubs in the rugby league competition way back in 1908. They've played each other 164 times. Souths have won 98, West 62, and they've drawn 4. This is good football from the Magpies, keeping it alive, but couldn't find anyone going forward. Cogger, Tronk, Blair again. That's Cameron Blair. 30 metres out from the South Sydney line. Fowler, Woods down the centre of the ruck. 4th tackle against Western Suburbs. Fowler again, blindside. Cogger, quick hands away. It comes to Tronk. Tonk's got that away. Chris Blair, good run from Chris Blair, but the referee, I think, is going to rule the pass forward. Fair enough.
Well, the pass from Scott Tronk did go forward, but he, as I said a moment ago, is getting heavily involved, and he is worrying this South Sydney defence at all times. Here he steps off the left, goes back inside, looking to pick up the runner, but eventually the pass that follows is forward. Only just, but the runner arriving just a little bit late.
Well, injuries aside, there's been a lot of talk about the South's enthusiasm, and as we see Coleman breaking from the scrum, that's a key issue for them now. This part of the match, they look to be just struggling a little bit.
Neville floats it over the top. Here's O'Neill. Peacock back there. O'Neill's almost got it. He's dropped the ball. It's gone loose and the scrum will go down. A couple of the South players saying he knocked that back.
We'll see if he does knock it back, because Souths have certainly been making mistakes and it's putting him under a lot of pressure. Well, he lost the ball fair and square. No doubt about the mistake by O'Neill.
Did it seem to come off the knee of the Western Suburbs player, but I suppose the only decision was the one that we see, the scrum. Peacock, long striding fellow, just inside South Sydney's territory. Bevan. Here's Stafford. And Mackay almost got in each other's road in the end there. Bevan again, back in amongst those South Sydney forwards. Midway, half and quarter line, South Sydney's end of the field. Fowler, Scott Tronk. They've worked out that move between Tronk and Cogger pretty quickly.
And West have got 4 runners standing in the middle of the field looking for it to keep coming.
And there's the little grubber from Bevan, but this time they're awake to it. South Sydney, long bottom, well positioned, just outside his quarter line. Plays that ball. Paul Roberts going for a gallop. He literally does gallop too. A lot of speed for a big man. Some of the South fans calling for Western Suburbs being up inside the 5 metres. De Jura, a dummy half. And there it is.
The crowd asked for it, and the referee caught Scott Tronk offside, and he was offside.
Graham Lyons warming up on the sideline.
Chance for Souths now, and they need to reassert some authority on this game at the present time.
So here's South Sydney with a chance. They're 19 metres out as Davidson takes it ahead. Davidson only 11 metres out from that line. Fennick, I should say Chisholm. The chip and chase from Blake. Blake will get there, or does he? Bevan or Blake? The referee says Blake got there first try. Well, the referee took a while, but he obviously thought that Phil Blake beat Mark Bevan to the ball, and so South skip away again to lead 14-6.
This is the reason Phil Blake is playing halfback. He saw the little hole in behind, puts the kick there, and he has this exceptional pace to be able to beat the defence to the ball. Now let's see who gets it down. Phil Blake's hand was the last one on it. Touch and go as to whether it was grounded fairly. He certainly missed it the first time. Nothing conclusive from that angle. Blake appealing for the try. Let's look at the head-on shot once more. Now, Blake certainly wins the race to the ball, but did he force it as Bevan's hands come in as well? Not at that point. It came off Bevan's hands, I believe, at that point, and Blake has forced it the second time. I think the referee is right.
And here's the kick from De Jure, and he's got it.
It all depends.
10 tries, 41 points for the year. That extra point being a field goal with De Jure having added the extras, and now South's lead 16 points to 6.
It was a fair try unless Phil Blake knocked it on. Whether he touched it at the first attempt, difficult to tell.
Phil Blake, of course, he scored a heap of points when he was with Manly, 250. He had one astonishing season when he's lost that ball, Maven. Cogger's got it. Play on, says the referee, which is the correct ruling. Fellas pass out wide. They're keeping it alive. Well, they tried to, Western Suburbs. Can they hit straight back? 16-6 the score. Chris Blair. And Fowler, I don't think, was expecting that.
The try by Phil Blake could be decisive in this game. 16 points to 6 is a handy lead for South, but they haven't dominated the game to that extent.
Scrum screwing. Oh, gee, Blake almost lost that. You could see that he didn't have a clue where the ball was. South come up in possession. 12 metres inside their own half. Andrews.
And it'll be Steve Maven, the player, coming off for Lions, David.
So Graham Lyons going on, Steve Maven coming off. Davidson. He's lost that ball again there, Davidson. Here's another chance for Western Suburbs. My word, they're good at pinching the ball. How did Bevan get that away? Mackay's got it. The referee's going to put the scrum down, though. Panic football a little bit there from West. They had the ball. Perhaps they should have consolidated.
Well, there's Les Davidson losing the ball, and the mistakes are creeping into his game at the present time. He's still running hard, but he's losing it at the end of the good runs. Now West, with 6 more tackles, losing the ball here. They would have had plenty of time to go on with it for another 5, because the South Sydney defence certainly was at 6s and 7s.
And now another mistake from South Sydney while we were just having a look at that replay again. They've won the scrum and knocked it on, and now Western Suburbs get the feed into the scrum. Blair breaking off the base of the scrum, and now he's lost it. And now another knock on. Or maybe that ball's just a little bit greasy with that rain. We can perhaps forgive them the occasional knock on when the ball does start to get initially wet, but it's very greasy.
Well, if that is the case, they're going to have to tighten up.
And there was another drop ball, but luckily for Souths it went back. It's worse than a bar of soap, the ball at the moment. Long bottom. 8 minutes left in the first half. Souths lead West 16 points to 6. Fennick down to the halfway line. Andrews, it is a dummy half. Chisholm. Just inside West territory. Coleman. That pass was forward to De Jure. There's no risk about that. Just inside Western Suburbs territory. Last tackle against South as it comes to Paul Roberts. And Roberts, he can't get the pass away. It's been towed through by Darren Maroon, I should say, is the way that the name is pronounced. The Western Suburbs come up with it. Well, some scrappy football in the last few minutes.
Well, admittedly, Paul Roberts knew it was the last tackle, and after he made a good dash away from the dummy half, he realised that it was going to be a handover, so he had to throw a pass of some kind. And yes, in the end, West coming up with possession.
Just outside the quarter line, west end of the park as Scott Tronk takes it up. And the ball's been reefed out of his arms. It's still loose. It's almost like soccer out there at the moment.
Well, David, you must be right. The ball must be getting greasy out there from this rain that has been coming down in a light shower from the beginning of the game. And you can see it again. They're popping up. That certainly indicates it's getting very slippery.
So a 10-point margin. A very neat buffer for South at the moment. They lead 16-6, and now the ball's gone loose again. In the end, it's gone across the touchline. I think it'll be a Western Suburbs feed. And Neil showed a pretty cool head then too. If you have a look at this, I think he realises he's got no chance of picking it up before it crosses the touchline, and in the hope that maybe perhaps a Western Suburbs player might put it across there and he gets the feed. 20 handling errors so far in the game, and I'd say 10 of those in the last few minutes.
If the ball does get slippery, we may see the kicking game start to come into play. As yet, both teams have been throwing the ball around. There hasn't been a lot of kicking for field position, gaining distance right down the field, but if the ball's going to get slippery, well, that's the game you have to revert to.
So here's Woods to play it, midway half and quarter line, west end of the park. Western Suburbs trying the set piece, and it comes away. Here's a chance for Western Suburbs, but the referee's ruling the pass from Cameron Blair to Rawlings forward.
Well, that must be the 5th forward pass we've seen in the game so far, and it's not just the fault of the passers. The runners have to time their run. They have to hit it at the right moment. And again, we see the runner just overrunning his support. He knows what's on. He goes,
Here's
Blake.
Blake with a chance. Blake, he's got to tow it ahead again, I think. He tows it ahead. It's into the end goal area. Blake, try. Did he get it down? I don't think he got it down. A good decision from Greg McCallum. He didn't seem to get it down. Well, have a look at it again. But let's have a look at this. Blake again, seeing that there was nobody at home. And he gets to it the second time, and he more or less kicks it with his knee and not with his foot. So he lost a lot of control. Here it goes. Now it spears across towards the touch line and the end goal. Now, does he get it down? Well, from that angle, it looks as if he has. My word, though.
It looked like a fair try. Certainly downward pressure was there. If we'd seen the replay go on, the ball probably then bounced up. The downward pressure appeared to be on the ball. And it certainly looked like a fair try, and it deserved a fair try because, again, Blake, thinking all the time, saw no one at home. He has this acceleration to beat anyone who is off an equal distance from the ball. He'll certainly get there first.
It's interesting because looking at it with the naked eye, it certainly looked as if there was no downward pressure. But now Western Suburbs coming back with a chance, and West, the ball comes away. Here's Cogger linking up out wide. Bevan, the flick pass. Oh, Alan Fella's gone without it. The flick pass that probably wasn't on. It wasn't a good pass to Fella, but what a good try that would have been had it been scored. Perhaps that's justice at both ends of the field. Have a look at this.
The flick pass is a little too low for Fowler. Just out of shot. It was at his knees and he couldn't handle it. If he caught it, he would have scored. But also Bevan had a support on the far side with his winger. If he'd gone that way, I think West would have scored.
Good pass, that one from Davidson. Paul Roberts to play it just outside the quarter line. Peter Wilkins on the sideline.
Well, Laurie Fryer, the Western Suburbs coach, just could not believe that. He's watched his side get into 4 or 5 attacking positions and blow them. And that one, the player had a man outside and one inside. It just wasn't called for. Western Suburbs are throwing this game away.
South Sydney leads 16-6. Peacock. And there's Laurie Fryer. Ray Bernasconi, long-serving Western Suburbs committeeman, and secretary in the background there. A great club man he's been for Western Suburbs. Just inside South Sydney's territory, Tronk, Cogger, Bevan, moving it across the back line. Finally, someone had to straighten it up. It was Rawlings. The pass has gone loose. Peacock's got it back. Here's Stafford. He tries a little chip and chase. He's regathered that, Stafford. He's got the pass back on the inside. Peacock, he was losing his balance as he was caught from behind. That was a good tackle from O'Neill. Scrum will go down, but my word, haven't Western Suburbs created some opportunities. Peacock looks as if he's done his shoulder there.
Well, beautiful football by O'Neill. He's the one who gets beaten by the kick from Stafford here, but he doesn't just throw his arms up in the air and give up on it. He chases, and you'll watch the pass come in from Stafford here. And who's there to gather in? Peacock, who looked to have the line wide open, but Adam O'Neill. Great tackle. Great determination.
Now here's Blake from the base of the scrum. Back on the quarter line. Chisholm. Chris Blair equal to the task, and so too Mark Bevan. Just outside that quarter line, here's Davidson. The pass, a good pass away. Here's a chance. Maroon up over the halfway. Maroon down to the quarter line. He's got support on the inside. Paul Roberts has gone without it, though.
Well, it just shows that both sides can bomb opportunities in this game. South well away. Maroon throws the pass back inside. It was a good pass, but Roberts simply couldn't hang on to it.
I get the feeling that this game isn't over yet, even though it's 16-6. There's still plenty of... it looks as if both sides are still content to throw it around and play attacking football.
Well, both sides are finding holes, so if they're finding holes, tries can be scored. Saying that Paul Roberts should have held that pass, there's no doubt that he should have, but it's a funny situation when you're out running full steam in the clear like that. They're a lot harder to pull in when you know that if you hold on to it, you're probably going to score a try. The ball seems to take an awful long time in the air coming to you.
What a good run that was from Jason Liddon. Here's Tronk, good pass away. Howcroft, he's got the pass back. They move it back the open side through Bevan. Bevan, the quick hands away. Here's a chance. Cameron Blair again. That step off the left foot. Down towards the quarter line. Still going. Good run from Cameron Blair. Couldn't get it away to David Woods, who was backing him up on the other side. But they're down to the quarter line, West. Fowler, he's got it away. Tronk, quick hands. It comes to Bevan. Bevan, away it goes to Rawlings. Rawlings' pass has been taken by Coleman, though. You almost got the feeling Coleman called for that. But South run it outside their quarter line through Fenwick.
Well, the players opening up completely. The defence is very thin on both sides. Here goes Blake again.
Blake, he's over the halfway. Coleman's got it. Coleman's almost in the clear. He's got it away. Longbottom. Longbottom taken just outside the Western Suburbs quarter line. Rawlings was back there. Coleman. Blake. The long floated pass out wide. This should be a try. Paul Roberts, he's held onto it this time and scored. 20 points to 6 right on half-time. What a timely try that was from South Sydney.
Well, at the end of this, it was virtually 5 men against 6 men. It was like touch football on a full-size field because the players had been run ragged as play went from one end of the field to the other. Finally, Roberts makes no mistake to finish it off. But right back, we saw Phil Blake creating plenty of action, and then a long pass going out to Roberts, who just got outside the defence. They simply didn't have enough numbers in the end.
Well, Bronco de Jura, who normally the goal-kicking duties over and done with pretty quickly. Chance here to kick his third of the afternoon.
It was all started, that try, by Phil Blake finding a hole through the middle of the forwards. But as I say, the gaps were so wide, a man of his pace could pick it with ease because players were just strung out.
So Bronco de Jura, there's his kick. It looks good. It's there. Straight over the black dot, straight down the gun barrel of the camera lens. And at half-time, South Sydney are leading Western Suburbs by 22 points to 6, 4 tries to 1. Spectacular action during the first half, and of course there'll be more action coming up in the second half, but it's time for our weekly look at rugby league. It's time for the
story of the first half has really been that both sides have been opening up when, through mistakes, they've started to hand the ball over and the defence has started to get rattled. It's been a fairly fast game. There's been 26 handling errors in the first half. We've got to remember that shower of rain that appeared to make the ball pretty greasy. Some of those mistakes, there it is, still coming down, and it's quite heavy. You can see the second half. Even the ground now is starting to look pretty wet out there. It's remained dry for a while. But the defence itself caused some of the mistakes because there were some pretty good hits. I remember one by Chris Blair on Les Davidson, which caused him to spill the ball, and that sort of pressure also caused the ball to come loose as West come back onto the field. But it was mistakes in handling errors, some caused by defence, some unforced errors, and the game was flowing very quickly, and the defence was opening up on both sides, and both teams blew a number of opportunities. South managed to capitalise on more than West, and they're in quite a handy position here at 22 to 6 at half-time, and they should be able to go on with it. But as David suggested in the middle of the half, when you've got breaks being made by both sides and chances to score tries, well, a 16-point lead isn't enough to say that you're safely home.
Second half is underway. South Sydney leading by 22 points to 6 at half-time. Paul Roberts, who scored that try right on the stroke of half-time, rings it out just outside his quarter line. Well, Les Davidson in the first half got through 5 tackles and made a few errors. What do you think of his performance in the first 40 minutes?
In the first 10 minutes, I thought he played very strongly. Les Davidson, I'm sure, was determined to have a big one and prove the New South Wales selectors wrong. But from that point on, he continued to run hard, but started making mistakes, as you say, with his hands. He simply was trying a little bit too hard to get them free, to get the pass away. And only 5 tackles was it in the first half. That's not a dominant effort from a prop forward by any means.
In the wet weather gear and with his ear to what happened in the dressing rooms at half-time, Peter Wilkins.
Yes, David, well, we heard from the South Sydney side of things from Mario Fennick, but from the Western Suburbs point of view, they're not panicking. Laurie Fryer wasn't a raging bull, but he accepts that they were making the breaks but not capitalising on them. Watch that final pass was the key from Laurie Fryer, and just keep going as a unit as they have been, and the breaks have been coming and they still will come, he says.
There's Fowler looking for support. He finally got that pass away. He was looking for Rawlings from the time he picked that ball up. That was well trapped soccer style by Adam O'Neill. And look at this for a good run.
Good run again by O'Neill, but West's making a mess of it on the last tackle. Fowler was looking for Rawlings, and he was certainly wanted to pick him up for the kick. But Cameron Blair, number 8, was standing in the road of the pass.
And that's not a good pass. Trying to just force that extra pass, and there's O'Neill. He doesn't look too happy there. Looks as if he's might have copped the knee and the thigh muscle. And here's this pass again. Paul Roberts trying to send Longbottom away. The idea was right, the execution wasn't quite so good. That ball not easy to handle at the moment. It is wet out there, and in fact the lights are actually on here at the stadium.
George Piggins wouldn't be happy with the pass by South a moment ago, giving away possession, because his instructions at half-time, as Peter and Mario told us, were they've got a winning lead, just to control the play and hang on to it. And in these conditions, you can't afford to be too adventurous.
Here's Cameron Blair making a good break. Tackled by Maroon, 30 metres out. Chris Blair goes on his own. Just outside that quarter line, South Sydney's end of the field. Fowler comes from Cogger, away to Bevan. Bevan's pass held up for Howcroft. He's got it back. Now, eventually it comes out wide towards Stafford. Good defence from Roberts. Peacock, last tackle. Bevan puts the grubber kick in. Getting back there is Andrews to field the kick. Sounded like thunder in the background. I thought there was a plane coming through the stadium for a minute. Very loud rumblings of thunder.
Interesting variation there by Bevan. He had plenty of runners coming through towards the posts, but instead of kicking that direction where the defence would expect it, he decided to chip back towards the blind side. The only trouble was I don't think he told anybody else about it, certainly not Peacock, his winger, because Bevan was the only one chasing.
Fennick, just outside the quarter line, South's end of the field. Last tackle, 22-6 the score in favour of the Rabbitohs. 37.5 minutes left in the match, and West's another error. Incorrect marking.
When you look at the first half, Phil Blake was involved in every single try of South's, either scoring them or passing one of the 2 or 3 passes involved.
Well, there you can see really how dark it is. You can see the scoreboard at the far end and just how bright the lights are on that scoreboard. A good indicator of just how dark it has become here. Chisholm. Paul Roberts, just outside that quarter line. Good tackle. That was Cameron Blair. Maroon. One-out football at the moment as it's quickly called the blindside by Blake. He tries the chip and chase again. Peacock, though, got there first. And Peacock back over the quarter line. Good run from Peacock. He tripped over in the end. Otherwise, he could have gone on a real long run downfield.
I think Les Davidson actually just ankle tapped him and caused him to lose his footing.
Bevan. Good tackle from Neville. Cogger. Woods. Here's Cronk. Wasn't a good pass, but it was well picked up, especially considering the ball so greasy there by Cameron Blair. Bevan, the pass comes away. That's Liddon. Got his arms free somehow to Tronk, and away again. That's Chris Blair. He's got that away. That's his brother Cameron. Down towards the quarter line. That's good football from Western Suburbs. Drive with the football with a wet ball. Stafford over the quarter line. Back on the inside. Here's Rawlings. Rawlings puts the kick over. It's coming into the end goal area. Back there, Lyons has cleaned it up for South Sydney. But again, an opportunity that West had. They're not done with yet, Warren.
No, they showed some enterprising football there. They controlled the ball for the best part of 6 tackles. And if they can play like that for the rest of this 40 minutes, well, we could end up with quite a close finish on our hands.
Here's Adam O'Neill putting the kick through. Was he knocked down after he put the kick in? The referee says yes, penalty goes to Souths.
And there's no doubt that he was knocked over. O'Neill, very dangerous, and the West defence knew it. He puts the kick in, and going right underneath him was it Rawlings?
Looked
or
to be Doug Rawlings.
And that player has received a stint in the sin bin, David. 5 minutes in the sin bin for Rawlings.
Well, it's definitely a professional foul. Unusual to see it like that, though. I've seen a lot of them in soccer like that. And there's O'Neill who's lost the ball. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't a good pass from Davidson. In fact, O'Neill almost turned that into something. As Peacock goes for a good run for Western Suburbs.
Yes, David, the use of the professional foul, usually the referees come down on it when it's close to your line, and the professional foul virtually prevents the team scoring a try. If the referee decides to start giving professional fouls every time a penalty is given away, well, they're going to certainly open things up. There'll be players in the sin bin all day long.
Bevan. Just inside Western Suburbs territory. That's Chris Blair. Good strong run from the second rower. Taken by Maroon just inside South's half. South still leading 22 points to 6. Blindside, last tackle. And there's Bevan's kick. Looks too deep. And it is.
And there's a real let-off. There's Danny Peacock down receiving attention. Looks to have taken a knock in the head. That's a real let-off. It comes back to the 22-metre line for a tap. And there's the tackle count. Wayne Chisholm leading the way for South with 22. Darren Maroon, 20. And for West, Alan Fowler, the hooker, on top. And Dave Woods is playing very strongly for West. Second highest tackler along with Cameron Blair.
The Souths have had to effect 117 tackles as compared to Western Suburbs 101. And Darren Maroon there being called out by the referee, touch judge, obviously reporting Maroon for something that happened. I wonder whether it was a bit of jersey pulling or tackling a player without the ball when Bevan put that kick through. Couldn't have been too serious because his play is going to continue with the tap. Just outside the quarter line, Chisholm. You can hear a lot of talk out there on the field. Back on the inside, there's Roberts. He's made the break. Fennick again, just inside South territory. Blake, the long pass. That's Maroon. That's come off a Western Suburbs player, picked up by De Jura. That was almost a knock-on. Lyons, just inside West territory. He's lost that ball. What a good tackle. Howcroft. He tackled Lyons there, and it was the jolt of the tackle that forced that ball loose.
We see Lyons demonstrating that he's got to step off the left foot. He evades a couple, but he wishes that he evaded Howcroft as well. That was a good driving tackle, plenty of shoulder.
So West back inside South territory. South lead 22-6. 30.5 minutes left in the match. They need a converted try, Western Suburbs. They've got the ball. They're down the right end of the field. They're going to get back into the game. They need something shortly. Last tackle against the Western Suburbs side, says referee McCallum, as Tronk takes it up. And Tronk tries the little chip and chase, and back there is O'Neill to pick the ball out of the air. Lost his boot in the meantime. De Jura runs it back for South Sydney.
Tronk's kick didn't travel all that far. We would have hoped that it would have bounced, but it was too far. Only travelled 10 metres in the air, but it was in the air long enough for the South defence, O'Neill, to get across and take it on the full. And that's really no good. The result, you've got to get the ball bouncing. You can't put it into the arms of the defence.
West player down there injured at the moment. The referee's actually stopped play as De Jura was tackled. The West player had affected the tackle. Obviously something has happened in the tackle. It was clear almost immediately that he was in a bit of trouble. It looks to be Howcroft who's down injured. And you can see the grimace of pain. And he's now being attended to in the background there, as you can see. Play going on. Just outside the quarter line, South with it. Davidson throws that pass out to Longbottom. He did pretty well to gather in. Here's Lyons. Lyons over the halfway. He's got Paul Roberts on the inside. He puts the kick in instead. Will he win the race for the ball? He should win the race, but the ball evades him. It's loose. And I don't know, he might even give the try, but no, the referee's not going to give it. Good positioning from McCallum, because they were flying down the touchline, these players. And look where Greg McCallum was to rule on this.
Well, Lyons has plenty of pace because that's Trevor Cogger alongside him, and Lyons wins the race, but the bounce of the ball made it too difficult for him to get across to it. And in the end, the ball coming loose, does it or not? Difficult to tell, but the referee was right on the spot, said it was knocked on.
Western Suburbs take it back. Here's Cameron Blair. We've got a lot of talk for in-goal touch judges and so on, Warren. See, sometimes they'd be a great help to referee, and sometimes I dare say they'd be a bit of a hindrance.
Well, people first started talking about them in the era of the bomb, which is still around, but now there's so much pressure in the in-goal area from attacking sides with shallow kicks across the face of the goal, little chips in there. Much as I hate to see another official involved in the game, I think there is a good justification for it to be considered by the officials.
Good strong run that was from Jason Stafford, but in the end ran out of room.
There's the error count. West's making more mistakes with missed tackles, dropped balls and bad passes. Just enough to hand over possession for South to dominate.
South have got that ball. Here's De Jura running across field, made it easy to affect the tackle, but he's managed to slip that pass to Lyons. South Sydney's territory, De Jura just inside West half. Davidson. Fennick, it is a dummy half. Chisholm comes down the centre of the ruck. Fennick backed him up on the inside just in case he could slip the pass away. 10 metres, west side of halfway. Davidson again. The ball's gone loose. He tried to slip that pass away to Fennick. The same sort of move that Fennick tried to work with Chisholm on the previous play.
I think Les is going to have to concentrate on hitting the ball up hard and forget about trying to get the pass away until he starts breaking the line a little more. He took it up fairly strongly that time, not as hard as he can, but when he's concentrating on trying to get the pass away before he really breaks the line, those loose balls are just becoming too numerous. The mistake rate is just not there. Or the success rate, I should say.
Here's Liddon. Still inside Western Suburbs territory. It's Cogger at dummy half. Now here's Fowler. On the halfway line. Last tackle against Western Suburbs. Rawlings the kick. It's a good kick too. It's a deep one. Making De Jura go a long way back to gather that in. Now the chasers, are they going to be equal to the task? They are. And that's Howcroft, the man who was down injured only a moment or two back, who's up there to effect the tackle. Now if West are to get back into the game, they've got to defend stoutly for 6 and try and score their turn to run the football. South Sydney leading 22-6. 26 minutes left in the match. South 10 metres out from the quarter line. Their own end of the field. Fennick, Davidson. That's a good ball. Here's Coleman. Coleman has got support. The ball comes back to Blake. Now Blake's got a lot of speed. Look at Blake go. He's thrown the pass back to Roberts. Paul Roberts on his own. He's got it away. De Jura. Oh, he can't slip the pass to O'Neill. Good football. It's a handover. What great football though from South Sydney. Started with some great work down the other end of the field by Coleman and the blistering speed of Blake, which almost put Souths in.
And seeing we've been criticising his handling, Les Davidson was the one who passed the ball to Coleman. A good pass. He slipped it back on the inside before he hit the defensive line. But the hole was there on the edge of the ruck of West, and Blake's blistering speed almost finished it off.
Tronk out wide. Cameron Blair back to brother Chris. A floated pass over the top for Mackay. But Longbottom's equal to the task over on that side of the field. I don't know who was meant to get that. In the end, Bevan did. Now this will be the kick, one would think. Or is it Tronk? Howcroft's gone without it. Doesn't make much difference. Lyons has got it for Souths. Coleman. Beautiful ball away to Neville. Running into space. Coleman on the run round. Good football. Back it comes. Longbottom. He's run out of room. Again, some good football from South Sydney. Blake. Davidson again trying to slip that pass away when that wasn't really on. As I said, he's trying a little bit too hard, Warren.
Well, we know what talent Les Davidson has, but when it's just not happening for you, when you're failing to get the ball to the man that you're aiming to, as he did there, what you've got to do, if you're a front row, is just go back to the basics, start charging the line, hitting it up hard. He's now given away 3 bad passes. The success rate, as I said, is just not there. He's not finding the runners. So he's got to go back to just taking the ball up until he has that confidence that he's breaking the line and can get the arms free. He is not getting the arms free. He's making it very difficult for himself to pass.
West player down injured at the moment. The referee calls timeout. Scrum will go down there eventually.
And Souths are using this opportunity to make a replacement. John Bilberger on, and I think we're going to find out who's the replacement. And that's the South Sydney Darren Maroon coming off.
Top tackler so far this afternoon for South Sydney, Darren Maroon, getting a generous round of applause, and why shouldn't he? To see David Rowland from ABC Radio Sport there in the foreground doing a piece on his sideline eye activities, and he's done a job pretty well this afternoon, Darren Maroon.
He has, because not only has he tackled strongly, but in attack he's kept bobbing up in support play as well as taking it up pretty strongly.
Scott Cronk, the Magpie, who was wounded, gets up.
In fact, all the prop forwards in this game have played pretty strongly. Scrums, 8-6-2 Souths.
Souths working the blind side. Paul Roberts or Andrews, in fact, who's got the ball in the end. It might be Andrews. It is. The pass looked a long way forward to Bilberger, but they've got away with it. 30 metres out from the quarter line. Davidson. The one-handed pass back to Fennick. Just outside the quarter line. Bilberger, former Western Suburbs player.
And Balmain.
Oh, flick pass from Coleman. Now here's a bit of room for Chisholm to make ground for the line, and Chisholm, good try! Oh, what classic football that was, the flick pass, and Wayne Chisholm has scored a good try, didn't he? Charge onto that ball, into the gap, good strong second rower stuff, and he spotted the try line on the corner post, and that said it all. Look at this.
Well, the genius of this half 5/8 combination, the run around and the little flick out the back by Coleman. And is this a second rower or a centre? Because Chisholm has taken off like a rocket here to score this try. There was plenty of cover defence coming across, but Cogger and Rawlings just simply couldn't get to him. Look at the magic hands here of Coleman, flicking it out the back, creating forcing Howcroft to come onto him rather than onto Blake. That gave the overlap, and Chisholm hitting the gap, and at full pace too.
And there he is, Wayne Chisholm, his second try of the year. Probably fairly thankful in the end that Mark Ellison missed the game through injury, because it meant that he could pack down in the second row and not have to have his good looks ruined by packing down as the hooker.
The little run around looks so basic, but it forces the defender to go onto the man with the ball, and that was Coleman.
Another attempt from the sideline from De Jura, which looks good off the boot. It looks good. Just falls under the bar, I think, didn't it? I think in the end it just fell under the bar. Accuracy was right. Just a fraction short in length. And Wayne Chisholm, of course, formerly with Manly as well. But that's just... And there's Bevan leaving the field too, Mark Bevan. At 26 points to 6 is the score in favour of Souths. The restart. The great thing about that Chisholm try, Warren, was the way he ran to the gap and with full momentum. any aspiring player should just take note of the fact that he ran to the gap.
And he had the confidence to know that the men inside him would put the pass into the gap for him. You can run into gaps all day if you don't have fellas with brains inside you who won't pass it to you. But he had confidence in Blake and Coleman to get the ball to him. And as I said also, the basic run around, which seems such a simple move, you wonder why you put it on. You put it on so that the man who first takes the ball can pull the defender, and the flick pass by Coleman even more so because Howcroft coming onto him didn't know whether to take Blake or Coleman, and he had to take Coleman. He had the ball and that let Blake go free.
Western Suburbs. Here's Peacock. 26 points to 6 the score in favour of the Rabbitohs as Cogger gets it away now to Tronk. Back it comes, Peacock again. He's about 17 metres out from that South Sydney line. Falla's the dummy half. Cogger. Chris Blair gets it back. Rawlings is back after his stint in the sin bin. Falla. Cogger. Tronk. Good ball away. This should be a try. Western Suburbs are going to score. The Western Suburbs replacement who's come onto the field, Wayne Simons, has scored. A few metres to the left of the post, and he's only just been on the field for Mark Bevan, and it's 26 points to 10.
Well, we're talking about people running onto the ball hard and fast, and that's what Simons did beautifully. Here's Cogger, sends a pass out to Tronk. He just holds it up for a moment and creates half a gap, and Simons streaking onto the ball to really make it. Good work by Tronk to draw in the defender, just to pull him into him, to cause that little gap to open up on the outside. Just pulled him in, but Simons coming at the angle, gets through one tackle, through another with sheer pace and the angle at which he hit the line. Great work, and didn't he show some pace? Here it is again, working the blind side. Tronk stops, holds up the defence, and Simons at the angle. Good bit of football from West, hitting down the blind side.
Well, he'd be pretty happy with that. He's only just come on, and Laurie Fryer would probably be fairly happy that he's just made the substitution. So here's the kick from Rawlings, and he's got it. So that will certainly please Western Suburbs fans. The margin only 14 points again. South 26, Western Suburbs 12. 18 and a half minutes left in the match. There's still a chance if they can really hit back with another converted try in the next few minutes. The game's not over with yet. And that will give the Magpies just that glint of confidence.
Yes, the Magpies certainly still in with a chance, though I would back South, that's for sure.
I think you'll be barred from West Leagues Club for saying that.
Easy to say that 2 tackles were missed by South as that try was scored. But it's very difficult to get back when back onto your left foot. You expect the play to go towards the corner, and Simons hit it at the angle. Just caught them on the wrong foot.
Had a good win in reserve grade today, Western Suburbs, and maybe Laurie Fryer's thinking about using a few more of his reserve graders before the day's out. That was a good, strong performance there by Woods. Midway, half and quarter line, inside Western Suburbs territory. Good ball again. There's Simons again, getting back towards the halfway line. 10 metres west side of halfway. Cogger. Away it comes to Howcroft. Howcroft in a bit of space. Up over the halfway line. Good run from Howcroft. He looks for support. He found Tronk. Tronk floats it over the top. Simons. And Simons drags it in. This is better football from West. Last tackle against them. As it comes to Cogger. Away it comes again across the back line. It comes to Blair. Away it comes down to Chris Blair. Away to Stafford. Stafford back on the inside. The little kick from Rawlings. It's into the in-goal area. O'Neill's there to take it on the full, but it's going to be a penalty against Western Suburbs offside, but that's been West's best passage of football for about 30 minutes.
It was a great bit of football, but unfortunately it really comes to nothing in the end because though he had support, Rawlings decides to put the ball in the air. So there were 3 Western Suburbs players there. They were in front of the kicker. O'Neill has taken it. It would have been a 22-metre tap.
Well, they haven't found touch here, South Sydney, so the referee could have easily played the advantage and given the 22-metre tap to South. Instead, West have got it back and they've still got a chance. Here's Scott Tronk with it. West hit it up now. Out wide, Howcroft. That ball came off a South Sydney player's hands. The left didn't spot it. Appeared to anyway. Here's Stafford. This is Chris Blair. 12 metres out from the South Sydney line. 15 and a half minutes left in the match. 26 points to 12 the score. Can West hit back and score immediately and really get back into the game? O'Neill in the end goal area. Here come the Magpies now. Can they keep him there and force the line drop out? They have. Good football from the Western Suburbs players that time, thinking about the game, and they've got another chance to get the ball back and run it back at the line again. They're not done with yet.
Much better result at the end of that 6 for West to force the goal line drop out instead of handing over possession the previous time.
The restart from Blake. Here's Mackay. Fowler. Cameron Blair. Oh, he's lost the ball. That takes a bit of pressure off. Neville's lost it too. Knocked back, says the referee. Blake. De Jura. On the quarter line was where he'll get up and play it. Andrews. Davidson. Still only 30 metres out from South line. 4th tackle against the Rabbitohs. Oh, and the intercept, attempted there, intercept there by Liddon. The ball goes forward, 6 to go again. But an intercept like that at this time of the game could really turn this match around.
Certainly would have been very interesting if Liddon had been able to hang on to it. He read the play pretty well. Admittedly, South were on the attack. He took the odds to the intercept. Instead it was 6 more tackles, and now South have got a penalty.
And Michael Blake warming up there. I think Paul Roberts is going to be the man summoned to come off, so George Piggins obviously doesn't think the game's over. A little bit of rearranging in the south side here.
Certainly not over yet. Almost 14 minutes left in the match. Penalties going South's way. 8-5 as Bilbidger takes it up. Fennick. It's Andrews. The ball's gone loose. Knocked back, says the referee. Here's Chisholm again. Chisholm. Down on the quarter line. West end of the field. Andrews. Andrews still going strongly. 12 metres out from the Western Suburbs line. Fennick's the dummy half. From Blake, it goes to Coleman. He finds a runner. Lyons gets it back now towards De Jura. Over the top. Coleman. That's Neville. Neville. He's a good stepper of the foot with the football in his hands. And Peacock picks up the dregs, and oh, he almost got away.
Well, South that time showing a little bit of panic, doing everything to get the ball over the line, but in this position, leading the game, they shouldn't have handed over possession. I think they still had 1 tackle up their sleeve as well.
Ball's played forth. Got to be a penalty against Fowler, surely. Alan Fowler should know better than that. He's played that ball sideways, and now he's talking to the referee. With Paul Roberts, another good day's work for him. Scored that very telling try on the stroke of half-time.
Roberts has played strongly. So has Chisholm, not only because he scored that try, but in the first half, Chisholm was one of the leading forwards for South.
This is just what South Sydney wanted. A shot at goal, a minute and a half to really catch their breath, regroup. I think we're going to see a fair bit more rain in the next few hours here as Bronco moves in. There's the kick from De Jura. It doesn't look good. In fact, it goes over the dead ball line, so they'll bring play back for the dropout from the centre of the quarter line. Let's have a look at that again, that incident involving Alan Fowler.
Well, Fowler was very upset. Obviously, he questioned the referee about the decision. Let's just see if he does play it fairly or not. Well, he's moved off the mark for a start and played it. He had no one in front of him. That's what he was trying to tell the referee. But the reason he had no one in front of him was he moved off the mark.
He's arguing with the ref either after he'd given.
Well, West know all about that penalty because that's the one that Graham Wynn got away with against St George.
Well, they've lost the ball here. South and West have got an opportunity out wide, and that's Mackay. New player out there for Western Suburbs. It's Gary McFarlane.
Gary McFarlane, yes. Alan Fowler came off just after that incident there, David.
So here's Western Suburbs. Liddon holding the ball up. Can't get through the gap now. Good defence from Fennick. Cameron Blair, dummy half. These West fellas don't think they've lost the game yet. Howcroft knocks that on. Yes, says the referee. 26 points to 12 in favour of South Sydney. Just over 10.5 minutes remaining in the match. You'd have to be Warren Boland or a fairly optimistic Western Suburbs supporter probably to think that they could still get out of this. They haven't given up yet.
You've got to remember this is an important game for South too. In equal 7th place on the ladder, they've slipped in the last couple of weeks. They've lost 2 premiership games and a midweek game in a row. And they really needed to hit back today. And remembering they've got a number of players, important players, to come back from injury. Well, things aren't going too badly for them, but they did need to win today.
Here's
like
Blake. That ball's gone loose. That was Michael Blake, his brother, who's lost it. De Jure is claiming possession for South Sydney, and so the scrum will go down. Here it is again. There it is, the flick pass, and Michael Blake probably got some special signal that they've been calling each other for 20-odd years, the Blake brothers. They knew it was on. He couldn't get the ball. Rawlings out wide. He found Mackay, who's got a bit of speed. Michael Blake it is who effected the tackle. 9.5 minutes left in the match. Woods takes it up strongly. Cogger. Good pass. Gee, that was well caught by Mackay. Pass it way out in front of him, but he gathered that in. Western Suburbs. Can they get right back into this game? Pass from Cameron Blair to Cogger was forward, says the referee. Just outside the quarter lines where the scrum will go down. That might have been their last throw of the dice, though.
Cameron Blair has some pretty good ball skills. He dummied on the outside, looked back on the inside, and Cogger had overrun the pass. Difficult to back up and time your run, but as we said earlier, there's been now 6 or 7 forward passes in the game. Just as much the runner's fault, not timing his run, as the ball carrier.
Well, there we are, the scrums. Now make it 11-8 in favour of South Sydney. And no scrums yet against the feed.
There's been 40 handling errors in the game, and it showed that lack of control by both teams. At the same time, they've been prepared to throw the ball around, and they haven't been resorting to the kick downfield to make ground. They've thrown the ball around, even running it on the 6th tackle.
Count starts again as Lyons gets it within 10 metres of the halfway line.
That lack of kicking in general play for distance is shown out in South, losing Ellison before the game, and Wests haven't really done it either. They don't have the kicker there, or Trevor Cogger hasn't played a larger role as he usually does in that area, kicking downfield.
Michael Blake just inside West territory. Here's Phil Blake. Phil Blake again trying that little chip and chase. And Rawlings only just got there first. Oh! I don't think that was really called for. Michael Blake let one go there, I think. Not quite sure what really happened in the end. Rawlings obviously didn't appreciate the tackle here from Phil Blake, and the referee was about to call Phil Blake out and caution him. Now he was going to caution him for the tackle, which was high, and the penalty's going West way. Let's have a look at this though. See, he's not very happy. Just having a look at it. I did accuse Michael Blake. I thought Michael must have done something for a second, but obviously the tackle that Phil Blake effected on Rawlings really got his ire up.
Well, he appeared to resent the tackle for no reason that we could see, though West came up with the penalty.
Probably the whack in the head.
And another sin binning there. Phil Blake's just come off the field. 5 minutes, I think he's gotten a sin bin.
A little lightning out to the eastern side of the ground too, as now Western Suburbs with just over 6 minutes left in the match through. Ledden down towards the halfway quarter line, I should say. Here's Cogger racing for the line. Shut the gate, he's got a ton of space. Under the post he goes. A little Trevor Cogger scores. 6.5 minutes left in the match. South 26, West 16. He could throw the extras over.
Well, West is still going to be 8 points behind if this try is converted, but good work by Ledden to break through the tackle to create the chance. Back inside, beautiful passes, he's falling, and Trevor Cogger, enough pace to beat Jura, but look at O'Neill chasing hard. He goes past the Jura on the way to trying to catch Cogger, but there's too much pace from Cogger, and good finishing to back up on the inside. Tronk flips the pass, Ledden the step. Surprising that Coleman seemed to back away, trying to look after the support on the outside. And then Cogger, with the chance after the good pass inside from Ledden, just sets sail for the line, puts his head back and flies right underneath the post. If he
pretty happy with that because his opposite number's just been sent to the sin bin. His 5th try of the year. There's the kick from Rawlings. The extras have been added, and so it's 26 points to 18. 5 minutes and 38 seconds left in the match. So, can Western Suburbs get something out of this? I remember that incredible game at Redfern Oval only about 3 years ago. We saw 2 converted tries in the last 2 minutes of a match. The referee, in fact, was calling time off at the moment. They haven't stopped the clock, though. The referee has clearly called time off there. Now, finally, someone's got the message. So here's Western Suburbs. Now, can they hit back immediately again and really put pressure on South Sydney in the last 5 minutes?
They're going to need to score pretty quickly because they've got to get more than a converted try.
Well, the game is still alive, but the sky, I tell you, is darker than death. 5 minutes to go, and that might be just as long as the heavens are going to hold out as West on the surge again.
And here is this, it's Liddon again as he slips it away to Rawlings, but the referee's going to rule the pass forward. The pass from Liddon to Rawlings has been ruled forward, and again it's this man Liddon who really has come alive. Well, gee, that was marginal.
Yes, there wasn't much in that at all.
And there's that dirty big black cloud that Peter Wilkins is hoping stays away for at least another 5 minutes. And I dare say the players and the spectators as well. Why not? Souths now, they're just going to run this ball out and then kick for field position.
Well, they'd be sensible if they did because they're leading the game. There's only 5 minutes to go. All they've got to do is play out time, play sensibly.
Another replacement on out there for South Sydney. That's Ross Harrington, playing in the second row these days in reserve grade. Of course, he's a former representative winger. Well, again, that pass from Davidson let loose, and it's gone loose. Really has gone loose. Scrum to go down. Midway, half and quarter line. West end of the field. This ground now is quite eerie, isn't it? It's hard to believe that it's 4:38 and it's as dark as if it was 7:30.
What was that fellow in America? Predicted America or the end of the world, didn't he? Nostradamus. He's a few days out, but looks a bit like that, looking away to the east.
I wasn't around when he was. West with the ball, midway, half and quarter line. Peacock. Just inside West territory. They need it down the other end if they're going to get anything out of this game as Stafford goes for a good run up the blind side. Just inside South territory. There's only about 3 minutes left in the match. The long ball out wide to Simons, who was the one that scored the try that gave West just a sniff of hope. Cameron Blair, away it comes. Tronk, who's had a strong game. Howcroft, back it goes to Tronk, running like a three-quarter. Again, Chris Blair involved. Away it comes again. That's Woods. Back to Tronk again. I think he's handling that movement about 4 times. It's gone loose. Simons has got it. Referee's going to put the scrum down. My word.
Well, you've got to give it to West. They've got a lot of youth out there. Half this team are under the age of 22, or 3/4 of the team are under the age of 22. They never say die. They just keep on coming. They play with a lot of enthusiasm. And they've stayed in this match even though it looked like they were well and truly gone at one point there in the first half when the score stretched to 22-6.
Dejura, midway, half and quarter line. Coming up to about 2 minutes remaining in the match.
West have just bombed those opportunities that could have come their way, particularly in the first half when play was opening up. They had chances. They weren't able to finish them off. For that matter, South's bombed a few as well.
Here's Bilbidger. Inside South territory, and this really will please the South fans and no doubt George Piggins. They have been in a bit of a form slump, but the Winter Days game with so many players out, again the side disrupted this morning when Ellison dropped out. And here's Harrington, good solid run from Harrington. So it's been a pretty good performance from South Sydney. Tried the experiment with Blake and Coleman, and hasn't that paid off handsomely. Davidson's pass goes loose. Blake picks it up. That's Michael Blake. He's going to have a bit of space. He's got that pass away. Neville copped one for his trouble there. Coleman's flick pass. Fennick. Had a good game too, Fennick, for his first grade debut. Michael Blake. I think he thought about the kick for a second. Fennick. Chisholm. Last tackle against South Sydney. The dying embers of the match as it comes away. Now Phil Blake's back on the field for the dying stages. That pass, I don't know who it was meant for. Bilbinger puts the chip in. Bilbinger might almost win it. Oh, going without it was Peacock. McFarlane, I think, should say Longbottom was up there to try and claim the try. Rawlings, I think, got a hand on it first. But have a look at this.
Well, Bilbinger, I thought, was interfered with after he got the kick away here. He certainly copped half a knock on from one fella and then another on the other side. And it made it pretty hard for him to get through as the rain belts down here.
Belting down's not the word for it. I don't think we've seen... I think I've seen rain like this for a couple of weeks in Sydney. We're used to it now. Adam O'Neill's lost his boot again. The players are probably saying, ring that bell so we can get off the park. I'm making about 5 seconds to go. Look at that. That is really pelting down. And that sky, believe it or not, it's 4:42. Here's South Sydney still trying to put some more points on the board. Points for and against are very important, but there goes the siren. It's all over here at the Sydney Football Stadium. The South Sydney Rabbitohs are back in business. They moved to 14 points on the Winfield Cup table by virtue of that victory. 26 points in the end to 18. 8 points the margin. 5 tries to 3 as the tune starts up on the background. South Sydney's triumphant marching tune, Glory, Glory to South Sydney. There's the details of this afternoon's game. The South Sydney, Longbottom, O'Neill, Phil Blake, Paul Robertson, Chisholm scored tries. Bronco de Jura kicked 3 goals. The Western Suburbs, Chris Blair, Simons and Cocker scored the tries. Bevan kicked 1 and Rawlings kicked 2. You look at the scoreline and you think really that it was a close contest. South Sydney really had control of this game for much of the match, especially when they'd scored that try right on half-time.